Well, there's a new immersive exhibit at the Seaport celebrating the life of legendary New York photographer Bill Cunningham. Artist Edwin Schlossberg helped transform an 18,000 square foot space into a vibrant celebration of the photographer's career. And it's inspired by the documentary The Times of Bill Cunningham by filmmaker Mark Bozek. It runs through the end of October. Mark Bozek, Edwin Schlossberg, with me right now in studio. Nice to have you both here.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
So, Mark, you and I actually talked about your documentary on Bill Cunningham. I think it was right before the pandemic hit.
Absolutely, yeah. It was February, the week of February the 14th, because Valentine's Day is when it opened.
And then what happened? You couldn't show it anywhere.
Well, it opened great in New York and LA and Chicago, and then it was going to be in 75 theaters on Friday, March the 13th, and it wasn't because COVID shut the world down.
So then were the wheels spinning on how you could kind of...
Well, I don't know if my wheels were spinning right away because I was imitating you and your sisters and brothers cooking from Florida. But eventually they did, and I didn't want it to just be a doc that ended up streaming, so I reached out to Ed, who I've known for 30 years, 35 years, and we said, okay, how can we do something that's, you know, unique? And we've talked about this forever, and so that's how it started.
So you're an artist, Ed, and how did you stage something like this?
Well, I think the thing that's so we always start from the audience, you know, so the design has to be something where the audience gets activated. And so what Bill Cunningham was so inspiring because what he understood is that he would take pictures of people not in a kind of posed way, but on the street in kind of experiences, coming to an event, all kinds of things. And so you can see the people that you admire in a way that you are. And so I think it kind of levels the playing field, and people feel really close to the people because they're being seen as people rather than as icons or whatever.
Not at the Met Ball. So, Ed, speaking of that, so were you inspired by the Van Gogh immersive? Because, you know, we did a lot of stories on that. Yeah. And it seems like now all these art exhibits are immersives.
Yeah, well, I won't say I did one for the 2010 Expo in Shanghai, an immersive experience, but it is the way that we get audiences to be part of the show. And that's the most amazing thing. And I think that the Van Gogh thing is really interesting because it does the inverse of what a painting does, which is trying to take you in it so that it makes the painting and you sort of at the same scale. And it's an interesting thing to do.
So, Mark, when you were working with Ed, like, what did you want included in this immersive? So when you walk in, what do you see? Because I see we have some videos.
Sure.
Okay, of inside.
When you walk in, you start with a bicycle path that they created that goes through the entire experience on the floor, and then on the second floor up on the ceiling, and you follow the path through his life. And as this sort of metaphor for, you know, long before he was a photographer, he was a milliner. He made hats, and he made clothes for, you know, women that made clothes for his former mother-in-law. Or his mother-in-law, and it was just, and it's that experience of this. So you're not seeing them just in a museum, but you're actually inside the images yourself.
That is so cool. And Ed, I know he brought it up. So Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, your mother-in-law, and Caroline Kennedy, your wife, who I think is my BFF in my head. They're part of the exhibit.
Well, yes, as are millions of people on the street of New York, as is many other famous people. Yeah, so it's interesting to work on a project that has my family as part of the story.
I was wondering how that works.
But you know,
that's not why we did it, by the way. It really was because of the kind of work that Ed's done for so long. But it is the 6 degrees of separation that you see that, oh, he walks in the other day when he saw it in whatever phase, and he's like, oh.
Was that a little strange, surreal to see Caroline there?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, it is strange, great, hard, all kinds of things simultaneously. So yeah, it's great.
And so, Mark, it's at the Seaport, right? And you have a lot of things going on at the Seaport. What's going on there?
So I met the people from the Howard Hughes Corporation that work at the Seaport, and they took it over after Sandy kind of wiped out Pier 17 and all these places. And they were the most supportive, non-real estate, dollars per square foot people I've ever met. And I understand that, especially now, and they've just been incredibly supportive. And while it was hard enough for Ed and I to explain what we were doing to anybody, anybody.
Right.
It was really hard to explain that we're going to take an Abercrombie & Fitch and paint it black, 20,000 square feet from ceiling to floor, and do this thing. And they were looking at us like, oh, okay. But they have been phenomenal. And we opened Live Rocket, my studio, because I used to run home shopping business. Now we're going to create a really cool digital version of that for a slightly different audience. And
And
yeah,
you have a young designer that's involved with this too, right?
Yeah.
Who we featured here on Good Day New York.
Who? Kiri.
Yeah,
oh,
Kiri.
Jamil Muhammad.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we paid for his show down there at the former Corso Como, and it was just wonderful to give back. All these sort of feelings of waking New York up, that you're not doing it selfishly, that it's a really, and to have the Seaport be as incredibly supportive and has been really great.
So Ed, this immersive Bill Cunningham runs through the end of October,
Yeah.
and then what happens? I mean, you've put so much effort into
Yes,
this.
Ed, what happens?
Well, I think we should put it as a permanent exhibit here at your studio.
Oh, sure.
Why not?
Okay.
It certainly would. There's a lot of room here.
There is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, this is a very historic place
Yes.
too. It was a former opera house.
I didn't know that. I didn't
See,
know
Ed,
that.
if you hang around with me a little bit,
Yeah.
I may be able to teach you a few things.
I'm sure of that.
Oh, yes, you can.
Anyway.
I'm sure of that. Yeah.
Anyway, so nice to meet you, Ed.
great to-
Mark and I go back a long time. Mark used to work here. He was one of my producers.
Yeah.
And then he became the head of Home Shopping Network.
Hey.
And then a documentarian, you know.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so great, Rose, and I'm super thrilled to have you being here talking to you about this, having you lived it. You're wearing Bill Blue today. I knew that was not an accident.
No, I wore the Bill Blue just for him.
That's great.
Edwin, nice to see you. Say
Nice
hello
to
to
see
my
you.
girlfriend Caroline, okay?
Okay, I will.
And congratulations on the exhibit. Mark, congratulations on the exhibit. And what's that belt? Wait a
Oh, I
second,
don't know.
I'm
I just
sorry.
have this belt on. I
Yeah.
saw you were like all over social media on Telfar that he published you.
Telfar. So we actually did a story on him
you
and his
did.
bags because he's called the Brooklyn Hermes bag.
The Brooklyn
And-
Bushwick Birkin bag,
Yeah,
yes.
and so he,
And half of your people here were saying, how do I get one of those bags for free? I said, well, give me a half-an-hour segment on
very
Good Day. and
funny,
we'll be
that's
all
not
over.
happening, Mark. But anyway, is he involved with the exhibit?
Yes, he was down there, not with the experience, but he did his show there last Sunday, and it was an enormous hit at the Seaport.
All right, it's time for you two to go.
Goodbye.
What time
Okay.
does it open today?
10 o'clock.
10
10
o'clock.
o'clock, yeah.
Okay, 40 minutes.
Right.
All right, we're there. We'll be there taking
Okay,
tickets.
you can get tickets. Where can you get tickets?
Online.
Oh, yeah, timesofbill.com.
Fabulous. Thank
Great.
you again.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you
Thank you,
both.
Ralph.